Hey guys, how's it going? I wanted to do one today. It's a little different. A lot of people probably haven't seen one of these before, but this is called the 2x2 time machine, and you can see that in the middle you have basically a 2x2, but then on all the sides you have these dials that can turn independently like that. And they're all numbered 1 through 12. And in order to solve this thing, you have to, of course, solve the 2x2 in the middle, but you have to get all the dials solved with the numbers going 1 through 12 clockwise. And this is a cool puzzle that I found, I don't know, a year or two ago probably, and I learned how to do it, and then I put it down, and I haven't really picked it up since, but I just picked it up recently and remembered that I really enjoyed it, so I wanted to do a video on this. Now, this is the cheaper version. I got this one for under 20 bucks, but there is another version that's like $100 that you can get. That's it's nicer. It looks a lot better. It's got stickers and stuff on it, but I wasn't about to pay $100 for it, so I mean this one is just fine for me. And anyway, I'm gonna give this thing a scramble off screen, because it can actually, scrambling it up is can take a while too, because you can see when you turn it, you have to make sure that these are all lined up on this axis, because if even one of them is off, you can't turn it. So this one can be kind of tedious. But I'm going to mix it up here and I'll show you how to do it. Alright, so here it is all mixed up. Now, what I'm going to do first is I'm going to solve the 2x2 square in the middle, or cube. So I'm going to look at the solving that, and you're going to do that just like you would a regular 2x2. Whatever method you use it. I'm not going to do that on screen for you. Just because I don't want this video to be like super long. If you don't know how to solve the 2x2, put this down, go solve the 2x2 first. So I'm going to go ahead and do that first. Now remember, I'm not going to worry with the dials at all, only looking at the inside cube. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and do that off screen for you. Alright, so here it is all scrambled up, and or the dials are scrambled rather, but the 2x2 in the middle is all fixed up. Alright, so again, I'm assuming if you're solving this thing, you already know how to do that. So we'll go ahead and move on to the dials, which would be the part that you're probably needing to figure out. Now, we're going to build these dials by putting together 1 through 6. We're doing them in groups of 6, so we'll do 1 through 6, and then we'll do 7 through 10. And it doesn't matter which side you build it on. Like, I don't have to build the white dial numbers on the white side. I can build them anywhere and then move them where I want. I'll show you that in a minute. So as I'm explaining things like where to put things, I'm going to use the notation of this is going to be the 1 spot. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. Sort of like a clock face. You know, obviously the 12 and the 6 would be right there, but we can't do that on this. We got to keep the axis lined up. So we're just going to do 1 through 6 here, 7 through 12 here. So here's my 1. I'm going to start with the white side just because that's what I'm used to. Now here's my white 2. So I'm going to put it in the 1 spot. And I'm going to move my 1 out of the way so that when I bring up the 2, you got to make sure everything's lined up. It can be kind of frustrating. When you bring up the 2, I can just move them out of the way and then move that back down to fix my 2x2 cube in the middle. So every time you make a move, you got to make sure you fix that. Alright, now I've got 1, 2, and 3 already there because the 3 just happened to come back in line. That happens quite a bit. Here's the 4 and 5 already in line, so that's good. I can move both of those in at the same time. Alright, so you can see I have 1 through 3. We'll move them off like that, so that when I bring up the 4 and 5, I can just move both of those over, fix my centers, or my 2x2. So I just need one more. I need the 6. There it is at the bottom. Okay, so there's 1 through 5. I'm going to bring the 6 straight up, move it out of the way, and then fix my cube. Alright, so there's 1 through 6. Now I'm going to go ahead and move the 7 and the 10 to another side just to get them away from my 1 through 6, just so I don't mess anything up. So I'll just move them over like that. Alright, so I can build the 7 through 12 on another side. Doesn't matter where. There's my 7, but my 8 is on the same side, so let's move that 8 down, get it out of the way. Okay, so there's my 7. Let's bring my 8 up to the 1 position. And let's go up like that. Okay, here's my 9. Let's bring it up, move it out of the way, come back down. And I'm going to have to move my 10 out of the way so that I can reinsert that 10 in its proper place. Okay, so hopefully you're following kind of what I'm doing here. It just takes a little bit of intuition on some of it. You know, if something is somewhere that you don't want it to be, just put it on another side. And then put it where you do want it to be. So that's kind of what I'm doing here. Alright, so here's my last one. There's my 12. I'm going to bring it up. Okay, so I've got 1 through 6 there, 7 through 12 there. So obviously I want to put those lined up with the white centerpieces. So let's do this. Just put 1 through 6 there, bring it up, rotate it over, bring it back down. Okay. Now, when I'm putting my 7 through 12, put it below the ones that are already good, because when I bring them up, I want to move those over and then bring those back down. There you go, 1 through 12. Alright, let's move on. I'm going to do yellow next. There's my 1. Let's look for my, oh, there's my 2. Okay, so same thing. Bring the 2 up. Make sure you fix that. Alright, I'm going to move the 3 down so that I can rotate it over. Get my 3 up there. Okay, just look for my 4. There it is. Let's get the 4 up. And there's 5. And let's bring it up. And 6. Bring it up. Okay, so there's 1 through 6. So now I need 7 through 12. There's 7. And 8's on the same side, so let's move the 8 down and get it off of that side. So now we can replace that 8 where we want it. Okay. Here's my 9. I'm gonna have to move it off of that side, because if not, I'm gonna mess up my 1 through 6. So let's go ahead and just get that 9 on another random side. Okay, move that 9 up, and luckily it's going to take my 10 off that side too, because I'm going to need to reinsert that 10. Okay, and it's also going to break that 12 away, so that's a little bit helpful. Alright, here's my 11 over on this side. And lastly, let's do the 12. Alright, so I got 1 through 6, 7 through 12. Now, on this one, my 7 through 12 is already on the yellow side, so that's good. So I just need to put my 1 through 6 there. So again, I'm going to put it underneath. So I got yellow on top of yellow. Bring it up, move it over, bring those back down. Make sure all your numbers are right. 1 through 12. Okay. Alright, so at this point, I'm going to cut the video. You're going to do every dial until you get down to the last 2. Alright, so I've already done 2, so you're going to go ahead and do 2 more. Doesn't matter which. So I'm going to go ahead and off screen do 2 more, and then I'm going to come back when there's only 2 sides left. Okay, so now we're back. I went ahead and did the blue and the red. So you can see I've got white, yellow, blue, red, all done. Everything's good. The only thing that's left is the green and the orange. Now the first thing you want to do, I'm going to do the orange next, I guess. I'm going to do the 1 through 6 normally, just like I've been doing. But then after that, it's going to get a little bit different. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and start working on the 1 through 6. It starts getting a little easier when you get to this point because everything you want's just right there. So 1 through 4 is already done. Here's 5 and 6. Okay. Alright, so I got 1 through 6 done. Now here's where you're going to need an algorithm. Okay, so once you get that 1 through 6, you're gonna, this is where it starts getting a little bit important when I start saying, you know, put this number in this place or whatever. So the next number that I need to put in is going to obviously be the 7. So I'm going to put the 7 in the 1 place. Remember, that's the first place right there. Alright, and then I'm going to do this algorithm. Alright, and you see what happened. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Alright. Now my 8 is over here on this side, which is kind of unfortunate because I'm probably going to have to mess this thing up to get that 8 out. Okay, let's see. You just got to kind of use your head a little bit here. Figure out how I want to do this. I'm going to move this 8 out of the way. Actually, I'm going to need to move the 7 and the 8 out of the way, I think, in order to do this. Alright, so you're going to kind of run into some issues like this. It's not that big of a deal. Just kind of use your head a little bit. Alright, I'm gonna redo that. Let's put that 7 back up there. So alright, so there's my 7. So let's try the 8. And do that same thing. So you can probably tell that on that algorithm, if it says a right move, you're moving the entire, the entire half of the puzzle. But then an up move is just going to be just the dial. And then later we'll see another algorithm that uses down. That's going to be just the dial. Okay, so if you see left or right, that's going to be, half the puzzle. If you see up or down, that's going to be just the dial. Okay, so just don't get confused there. Alright, let's move over to the 9. So same thing. I got the 9 is going to go straight up. Okay, so I've got it in the 1 spot. and you just keep using the same algorithm. Okay, so now I got 1 through 9's good. Here's my 10. Okay, so remember, just keep your dials where that's in the one you're putting's in the one spot, and it's going to go straight up right there. Alright, so I'm going to go up like that and like that. Okay, here comes the 11, same thing. And 12, last one. And just like magic, there it is. Now you can see that the orange dial is actually on the green side, no big deal. Just move it up, just like we did earlier. Move that one up. And we've got it. Alright, so all the colors are together, but if you look at the green side, look at the numbers. Numbers are all messed up. Okay, so that'll be the last thing that we need to do here, is we'll get these numbers fixed up, and I'll show you how to do that next. Okay, so in order to do this last dial, I'm going to show you an algorithm, and what it does is it takes whatever one is in the 11 spot, puts it in the 12 spot, takes the one in the 12 spot, puts it in the 1 spot, and it takes the one in the 1 spot and it jumps it backwards 2 times. So it will essentially go into the 11 spot. Okay, so you just kind of have to use your head here and figure out, how do I move things forward or backwards in order to get my numbers where I want them. And if you think about what I just said, well, if I want this one to jump back 2 spots, well, it's already in the right place. It's in the 1 spot. So you hold it with, the last cube to do on the top, like that. And this algorithm is kind of long, but you'll have it down before you're done with this, because you'll have to do it several times. And it's not really that difficult, so I'll show you. So it's R2, U, R2, D prime, R2, U, R2, U prime, R2, U prime, D, R2. Okay. So we can see that what happened was it jumped that 1 backwards, but it moved that 2 up 1. Okay, so what I need to do is I need to do this, because what this is going to do is move this 1 up, and it's going to jump that 10 back out of the way. So it's going to move this 1 up in front of this 2. So that's what I need to do. So I'm going to hold it like this. Remember, this one is going to go up, and this one is going to go up, but that 2, that 2 is going to stay the same. That one's going to go up, that one's going to go up, but the 10 is going to jump back here. So let's do that again. Okay, so there's my 1 and my 2 together. Alright, so what do I need to do with this 3? Well, there's not a way to jump it back 1, but there is a way to jump it back 2. But if I jumped it back 2, I'd have it between the 1 and the 2, so that's not right. So what do I need to do? Well, what if I moved the 3 forward once and then jumped it back 2? That's what I need to do. Okay, so you can either have it in the 11 spot or the 12 spot. It doesn't really matter. I'm going to do it like that. So I'm trying to see if I can do it without breaking that 3 and 4. Probably not, but let's go ahead and try it. It really doesn't matter. Either way I do it, I'm going to end up in the same spot. Okay. So I moved it forward once, but now if I put it in the 1 spot and do that same algorithm, I'm going to jump it back twice, which will put it behind the 2. And that's what I want, right? All right, so let's do that again. There you go. 1, 2, and 3 are good. Look at the 4. I need to jump it back twice, right? So just put it in the 1 spot, do the algorithm again. It's going to jump it back right in front of that 3. Okay, 1, 2, 3, and 4 are good. Now the 5 is doing the same thing that the 3 was doing a minute ago. I need to move it forward once, then I can jump it back. So let's just put it, I'll put it right there. Let's move it forward once. Okay, 5 is now in the 1 spot. If I do the algorithm, it's going to jump it back in front of that 4, which is what I want. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 are good. Let's see. Now look at the 6. 6 is way up here. All right, let's think about how many times does it need to jump backwards in order to get it where I want. Well, if I do the algorithm once, it's going to jump back to here. If I do it again, it's going to jump back to here. If I do it again, it's going to jump back to there. So I just need to do the algorithm 3 times in order to, I'm going to move it all the way back in front of that 5. So let's put it here in the 1 spot where it's at, and let's do it again. Okay, jumped it back twice. Let's put it in the 1 spot again so I can jump it back another time. Okay, put it in the 1 spot, and let's do the algorithm again. There it is. Okay, what about the 7? Well, yep, if I just do the algorithm once, it's going to jump it where it needs to go, so let's do that. Now don't try to force this thing. I have busted it before trying to force it, and then you got to put it back together. So don't get frustrated. Just if it's not turning, just make sure everything's lined up. All right, so there's 1 through 8. All right, let's look at this 9. Well, I need it to go backwards 1. I can't do that, but I can make it go forward once, then jump it back twice. So let's do that. Okay, so again, I can put it in either the 11 or the 12. I usually just put them in the 12 like that. Either way. Okay, 9's in the 1 spot, so I can jump it back twice. Okay, so that one's good. Alright, so I can already tell just by looking at this that I can do that algorithm one more time, and it's going to go ahead and finish this out. Because I put the 10 here, I do the algorithm once, it's going to jump it back behind that 9. Both of these are going to move up 1. So one more time and we'll have it solved. Okay, so are we good? 1 through 12. Yep, we're good. And everything else is good. All right, now there is one other thing that can happen. It happens very rarely. As a matter of fact, I have solved this thing probably 20 times in the last week or two, and it hasn't happened at all yet. But I'm going to try to show you a parity that can happen, like I said, very rarely. So if it does, I'll give you an algorithm to fix that too. Okay, so just scratch that last thing I said. I actually tried for a while to try to get the parity that I was going to show you, and I couldn't get it. I actually messed up like half the cube and had to go back and redo it. So let me just explain to you what it is. It's pretty simple for me to explain it to you. So very, very rarely, it has happened to me a couple of times, you'll get a situation where you have 1 through 10 is right, but then the 11 and the 12 are switched. And so everything that you try to do just it's kind of really hard to get it to work. So if everything is good but you have the 11 and the 12 switched, what you want to do is just turn it so that the 10 is in the 3 spot. So the 10 would actually be right there. And then of course you'd have, the 12 here and the 11 here. And then you would do this algorithm, and I'll go ahead and put it up for you right here so you can see it. So basically when you hold it on top like you've been doing, 10's in the 3 spot. So then do this algorithm, and then what that's going to do is it's going to kind of scramble up a little bit here, but it makes it to where you can go back and do the same method that I was just showing you, and everything will work out like it did for us actually. So anyway, that's how you do this thing. Yeah, like I said, I really like it. It's just pretty cool. It's hard to turn sometimes, but it's fun. And really the only part that's kind of difficult is that last dial. Everything else is pretty straightforward. So yeah, I just wanted to do one on this. Hope you enjoyed it, and I hope it helped, and I'll see you in the next one.